Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to another new video of About Skateboarding. Now, if you're new here, my name is Sean. I do daily videos, sometimes multiple daily videos about skateboarding overall, just the entire world, the whole universe of that involves skateboarding and everything inside of it. Before I get into everything, I just want to remind everyone that if you wanted to stream these episodes of About Skateboarding, you can do so in full for free over on Spotify and over on Apple Podcasts as well. Now, to get into his video overall, I wanted to kind of bring into another fun topic of kind of a comparison one overall, just the differences that I feel are important to think about and that sort of thing. And it's going to be on the topic of skateboarding in the street, so street skating, and also skateboarding in a skate park, so just park skating basically. Now, they are two very, very different things, and I'm going to kind of give my a summarized version of my history of both, because I have done both. That's primarily what I've done over my life of skating, is both street skating, not hardcore street skating, like not filming things or anything fun like that, but just street skating for a hobby, and also just, learning things in a skate park, and that's kind of what I want to get into now. So I think that personally, that there is not really a pro or a con to either one really overall. I personally started skateboarding just on my driveway in my house, just before I even went into a skate park, because I really wasn't overall super confident in my skateboarding abilities. And this is when I was just learning. So again, I was like 8 or 9 years old when I was doing this so far. So nothing super intense yet or anything like that. But basically I was just trying to learn how to do, my balancing and riding a board, and how to learn how to just do some of the essential tricks, like, an ollie and a heel flip and a kick flip, and not even on anything as far as transitions or, over any gaps or nothing super rad like that, nothing like that. Just really just skateboarding of just, the general sense of learning how to just ride a board overall. And that was all on my front driveway. And that's also just a really good spot to start off with too, because if you're new to skating overall and you're unsure of if you want to commit to it, meaning go out there and get into the world of skateboarding, then I definitely recommend highly just starting in your own on your own street, on your own just your own driveway, and just be respectful of others, because the skateboard is not the quietest thing in the world in that area. That's my experience. But again, I do recommend just starting off in your driveway if you want to, just to try to get your balance down and learn how to do it that way. Now, to evolve that further, once you do want to get into out there into the street world more and go into a park more, that's where the differences do kind of start a little bit. So what I think that a skate park is the best for is really to kind of get your bearings for skateboarding, of the more core skating, of how to really just get your essentials down on to an extent of where once you have them down in a consistent basis in a skate park, and you want to do street skating more, or you want to evolve yourself and push yourself more into that world, then you can do so in a little bit more of I want to say a more stress-free way of doing it. It's more of just I feel like street skating overall is much more it's kind of a little bit more intense, because you have, of course, people walking around, if you're in downtown, because that's where a lot of skateboarding does happen for street skating, is downtown areas. Not really in the suburbs that much, but more downtown areas for the most part, or business parks, things like that, for all the transitions that business parks tend to have more often than not. And that can create some more stressful experiences, because you have other people there that are not skating. They don't want you there as a skater. They think you're in the way for the most part, and that's never really changed, sadly, overall. So it's more about how to avoid all that and really kind of get the most out of the experience of skating, of street skating, without being there and getting hurt and all that really annoying fun stuff too. So that's the benefit of doing skate park skating, is that when you go there, it is a place obviously made for skateboarding, and there's usually a bunch of typically an average skate park they're all kind of the same thing, unless you're going to one of the more, I would say, famous ones, or one of the more core, really upscale ones, because some skate parks these days have everything. They have a half pipe, a bunch of quarter pipes, a mini ramp. They've got a whole street section where you can flow through everything all together. So those ones are really, really fun, because that's where you can really, really expand your knowledge of your tricks and really get them cemented, just without any stress at all, besides other skaters being there and that kind of that stress, which can be stressful too. But I think because for me, when I grew up, as soon as I got out of the area of my own driveway and I wanted to kind of go further out into the world, and I found out that there was a local skate park in my area that was free, because not all of them are free. Some of them do cost money and that kind of thing too, so you got to be aware of that as well. Some of them make you wear pads if they have people that are watching over the area as well, so be aware of all that too. So some of them, some skate parks do have rules that you have to respect, and like you may have to sign a waiver that says like if you get hurt and all that, that you won't sue them, all the usual stuff, which I'll explain more on, down the road here in a few minutes here. But overall, from a general standpoint, a skate park is really the best place to get yourself out of your own house, essentially, so to speak, if that's where you've been skating for the most part so far as a beginner, so to speak. And I feel like the best thing about skate parks is that it's one of the best places to really experience a community or the community of your local skate area, because for the most part, a lot of people will travel, anywhere from just like skating to the park up to even driving to the park, and being there pretty often. Like most people that go to skate parks, at least the one I went to as a kid for many years, they were all locals. So, and again, this is a free skate park that I went to. I didn't pay for it. So it was just a really fun community place where people could be very, very free to skate. And one of the best things about that, in my opinion, is that you for sure get to meet new people and experience that, and get to become a bigger part of your skateboarding community, which is very, very important as far as getting, not necessarily like sponsored, but just getting your name out there more. Because if you are the kind of skater that really kind of wants to pursue skateboarding in a more serious manner, whereas like for me, I was more about just having it as a hobby and just gaining tricks, it, and I still do, as a hobby, but I never really saw myself, like I didn't develop quick enough in my own opinion at that, as a young age, to really think that I could progress myself into things like skating into contests or pursuing sponsorships or anything like that. It just wasn't my mentality of when I was skating at a young age. So it's not that I gave up on it. It was just I could kind of feel myself not going that direction. And I feel like these days, especially nowadays in 2025, I feel like the whole bar of talent is so much higher than it was even 10, 20 years ago, for obvious reasons of how fast kids can learn and how adaptable kids are. So I feel like, and you can tell this really, really easily when you watch any professional or amateur, actually, skateboarding contest that's in a like a more famous park. And then the best example I have of that would be for the entire SLS Street League, because it's basically like, they have many different versions of SLS Street League, but like which is where they have, it's a traveling tour that takes place every few months in different places around the world, and you kind of tend to see really the same skaters professionally overall in multiple cities, because they are just that good. It's just that's how consistent they are with entering the contest. And I feel like it's just one of those things where it's like, it kind of like fluctuates with who's there and all that kind of stuff, with where they're at for the town and that kind of thing. But overall, it's the same kind of people. But backing myself up again, so skate parks, again, they are a very, very solid way to, again, become part of your skateboarding community locally. And if it's a free one, I think it's one of the best places just in general, to where you can really go in there and experience the crazy skill levels that some people may have. And one of the best parts to me about skate parks is that they are one of the best, if not the best, learning communal areas for the sport of skateboarding. And what I mean by that is basically where if you go there and you're having trouble with whatever trick you're trying to learn, and maybe you're just not getting a trick of whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is, there's probably someone there that's got it down pretty well down pat for as far as like mastering it. And if you are respectful towards other people there, like for the majority, at least when I was skating at skate parks back in the day, it was really, really easy to talk to someone like, hey, like, I saw you do this trick a little bit ago. Would you mind showing me or helping me out learning it better? Because I just can't get it for whatever the reason is. And generally speaking, most people, if you respect them, if you're respectful about it, they will definitely help you out, and then they will teach you how to do it, or kind of give you hints or tips and tricks on how to become better at doing it, or how to land it more frequently, or just get it cleaner, whatever it might be, whatever you're having trouble with. Most people that are at skate parks are willing to do that. And that's one of the best things about skateboarding, in my opinion, is that it's a very open, inclusive community where everyone is at a very, very different level of experience. And it doesn't matter what age you are. If you are respectful towards other people and you just ask nicely, most people will be more than willing to help you out, and be willing to give you information about their experiences and what they would do differently about when they were learning, all those such things. So that to me is one of the best parts of skateboarding at a skate park, is that you have that community area. And what's cool about that too, and which is really rad, is that if that person that you're talking to, a lot of times those can kind of become some of your, your better or best friends, and they will, and then sometimes, and this happened to me a lot when I was skating at a park, my local park, is that I would eventually, in some cases, go off with them to go street skating and just experience that with them too. And it was just one of the funner things about being, skating every day at a skate park when I was a kid, was that since I didn't have to work and I could just skate to the park, and I was there almost every day in the summertime, I would meet so many people, and I would progress my skating naturally by seeing much better talent or good talent, and it would inspire you to, or it should inspire you, I should say, to be more aggressive with your learning and all that kind of stuff. Now, I will preface all that a little bit by saying that there is no timeline or time frame of knowledge and talent of developing yourself. You can go as slow as you want to. You can go as fast as you want to. Whatever knowledge barrier or whatever knowledge or progress barrier you have on yourself, that's also one of the best things about skateboarding, is that it is not a team sport. And it feels weird to say it a little bit, but skateboarding is not a team sport. It is an individual sport where you are not on your own, but you are your own coach. And other people, again, like I said before, other people will be more than willing to help you out if you ask them to. But one of the best things about skateboarding is that it is your mentality, so you can kind of go whatever pace you want. And to me, that's one of the best things about it, is that you should never be overwhelmed or feel nervous, or just any overwhelmed really is the best word I think for it, because again, it's at your own level. Now, all of that can and will change if you ever decide to enter into a contest or get more, progressive and aggressive about your journey as a skater, and maybe try and become sponsored, or again, go up to a different level of skateboarding on a bigger scale. So all that kind of goes a little bit more in a different way, journey-wise, if you go into that route. But if you're just at a skate park to really experience the park and try and get better at your own tricks, your essentials, and learn new things and become a master of what you're doing and become better as a skater, that is the best place. Now, on the flip side, if you decide that you want to then venture out and test yourself in a non-comfortable format, not contest meaning, just on a non-comfortable format, and go out and street skate and find some new spots, or just skate around the city and try some of your tricks that you think you've got down pretty well, and do them off of like some ledge somewhere, or over some stairs, or try to skate a rail. Just be aware that there's a lot more involved with that. I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from doing it, but there's a lot that you need to be aware of. And no matter where you are, just be aware of certain things, like as far as respect the people that are living there, for one thing. Respect the businesses and the business people that are there. If you're in a business, respect all that, because again, you're on their property. And I'm not saying don't skate there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to give out legal advice here either. I'm not a lawyer for those reasons. But I'm saying if you want to go street skating and you want to do it, and you want to go out there and try these tricks, just make sure that you respect where you go, because that's one of the more, I would say, kind of trickier parts about being a skateboarder, is that if you decided to street skate aggressively like that and go out there and do that, then just be aware of your surroundings, and again, be respectful of other people. And I'll leave it at that, because that's, again, street skating is a really, really, really fun thing by itself. I've done it many, many times. I was never that good at it because I've always felt very pressured to try and do my tricks in a much more time-sensitive thing, because of the fact that I was afraid to get kicked out of places. And that was another whole area that I was just nervous about. And again, I was just a very anxious kid overall for that area. So I didn't do too much street skating. I did enjoy it when I did do it, but it was never really like my thing to go out and do, all day, every day, of just, of like looking forward to it. It just made me nervous to do it. So I didn't do it as much as I would have looking back on my childhood. So that's the one thing I do. I don't say I regret it, but I wish I would have tried more to be more outgoing and do more street skating. But some kids that I knew when I was a teenager were full street skaters. Like they would go out there, they would come up to the skate park, and they'd warm up there and kind of do some tricks to kind of test out the day, and then they would go off and street skate for the rest of the day. I wouldn't see them anymore. So again, it's all your preference on what you're into. But again, I just want to make sure that it's really obvious that there's a very big difference between skating at a park and skating in the street, because they are very different things. In a park, there still is a lot of respect involved, I would say, to bring it back to that too, though, because when you're skating at a skate park, there's obviously can be a lot of other people there. Like when in my local skate park when I was young again, and sometimes on the weekends it'd be a very, very busy place. So you need to be incredibly respectful of other skaters just as much as other people in your street skating at a skate park too. So what I mean by that is essentially is that there's a kind of an unwritten rule, I would say, at skating at a skate park where you don't want to be lame and annoying about how often if it's a busy, like if it's a busy day, for example, you don't want to be an annoying person to go to not let other people go in front of you sometimes to try to trick out. And this mostly happens in the smaller parks where it's like kind of like where you get like kind of like it's like you just go through like as like one running section and come back. So I'm not talking about like the bigger parks. Like there's a park that is in my area called Third Layer Skate Park in Minneapolis, and it's a huge skate park where they have a half pipe, a quarter, like a whole mini ramp. They have a whole like full street section. Those bigger parks, it's a lot easier to go whenever you want to go as far as like trying to like demo yourself out. But when it's a small like local community park and it's busy, just be very aware of your surroundings and be respectful of other skaters, that you're not the only one there. It's not your park, it's a community park. So that's my biggest advice to those to skaters that have never been to one before, or they're nervous about going to a skate park and just being in other people's, in other people's business or in their way. Like, it's like, that's not a thing. Like I mean, it can be, you can make it become a thing, but I would just say, again, if someone is going in front of you, give them space. Don't go right after them. Like, let them, try their trick out and maybe bail possibly or make it, whatever it is. And then, of course, if someone lands it, and also another thing I would say is that if someone at a skate park you're skating at lands a really cool trick, no matter what the trick is, if they land a trick, like, give them a high five or clap for them, whatever, like, if you want to, because that's a cool thing to do too. Because again, skateboarding is all about, for the most part, pure elevation and pure inspiration as far as like elevating other skaters that did good or that are, because a lot of times you'll see people skating where they'll be trying the same thing for hours in some cases, and then they just can't get it, and then they finally do. And you should be stoked for them. That's a good thing too. So again, hype up people at skate park if they want it, and be very be supportive of it overall as well too. So that's kind of my whole it's a very entry level spiel about, I would say, about what it's like to be at a skate park. Again, they can be very, very busy, and if they are, again, treat everyone with respect. Don't get in everyone else's way. Don't be like that. But just be respectful of other people, give them their space, and then do your thing as well. And I would say the biggest thing too is that when you go to a skate park for the first time, it's okay to hang back and see how it flows and see how other skaters operate as well. It's okay to be on the side and just kind of do your own thing on flat land if there's flat area too. So be aware of that as well. So that's kind of my entry level advice on the differences between a skate park and street skating. Overall, there's a lot more that goes into it than just those things. I'll go into that later on down the road, but I wanted to kind of just make an entry level video of what the differences are between the two and how they differ, and just how to be respectfful of the businesses. Because again, if you go to a skate park, if you go street skating, again, be aware of your surroundings. Don't be a dick. I'll put it that way to people that are walking around and be in their way, because you are in their way also. Just keep that in mind too. So just be respectful of all those things, and you'll be good to go. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this content. And as always, like I said in the beginning, if you want to hear the audio versions as well in full, then definitely go over to, again, Spotify or Apple Podcasts and listen there. Otherwise, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.